Okay, so welcome to Let's Go Live. I'm Gigi Mara, and I have with me thriller and rom-com author Danielle Blum. Welcome, Danielle.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's nice to be
I'm,
here.
I know. Okay, so I got to start with the beginning. Thriller and rom-com, totally different genres. So let's start there. Why those two genres? They're radically different.
They are, I don't really have a choice. The characters kind of just tell me what they want me to write. So I started with the thriller and was doing that just because I really like to kind of dig into the deeper side of things that I wouldn't normally experience and just kind of get different perspectives on that. So that's why I like to write thrillers because it's just so completely opposite of really who I am and what I'm about. So it's been fun. And then one night in the middle of it, my main character from the rom com came to me while I was laying in bed trying to sleep and was like, "You need to write this story. This is happening." And now she's been pestering me ever since. So now we're going that route. But it's a nice refresh from everything that was kind of dark and all of that to something that's a fun, a little bit raunchy, really fun to write. She's very sarcastic and humor, has a lot of humor. So it's great.
Oh, 100%, 100% a palate cleanser. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the thriller side. Um, what would you, so are we talking like Stephen King or would it be more like Dean Koontz or who would you compare to?
Ooh, okay. Tricky question. So I guess it's a little bit of like Veridity with Colleen Hoover, with a psychological thriller with a little bit of steaminess to it. My main character has dissociative identity disorder, which is formerly known as multiple personalities. So it has
Mm.
that aspect in it, but they are actually the hero of the story, and one of the alters is the only one that can solve the crime. So it's kind of switching the narrative about mental health in fiction and media. So it's been really fun to write on that, but it is kind of its own style in itself because it is a book where the main character has multiple characters within it. So it's definitely a little twisty.
Mags, cannot wait to read it. Yeah, so tell everybody the name of your book.
Okay, so it's Fragments of Affection and it will be available everywhere on November 18th.
Right around the corner, so everyone can pre-order now.
Yes, the pre order is live.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you. It's exciting. Yeah, I got my last round of edits back from the editor today and realized that they did not get the most saved version. So a little bit of a panic because there's so much more stuff in it now that she didn't get to read, but I think it'll be fine. We'll get there. So,
Girl, we've all done that. I literally, I have published 14 books. I'm writing my 15th. And so I had sent her to my developmental editor my draft, and there was like all of chapter 7 was missing.
yeah, I don't know
You
what happened. I
know,
know I had problems that day and I was like, "Oh, it'll be fine. It must not like it has to save at some point." And it did send it to her, just not like the most updated one. But I'm glad that it did somehow save the updated one. So my version that I sent her is different than the version that she actually received. But it's okay. We'll figure it out. It's part of the adventure, right?
oh yeah, we've all lost our body of work, and you've cried, and you're like, okay, here we go again. Dive back in and start
Hmm.
writing again.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us, without any spoilers, what is the book about?
Okay, so the main character, Jess Lewis, wakes up one day covered in blood, but she has no memory of the night before.
Ooh.
And she's trying to kind of piece that together when the police come knocking on her door, and turns out she's a suspect for this horrendous crime. So it's a race against time to kind of prove her innocence and show that she is not guilty of doing something like this, and especially because of the disorder that she has, like, that's not something that she is and that's not who she is. So she's changing the stamina around herself and what people think about her, and then going on a crazy adventure to find the real killer. So yeah.
Okay, it sounds intriguing right from the jump.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of twists and turns. Yeah, and I don't know how to explain it without giving too much away, especially because it's fresh on my mind, so I don't want to spill any teasers.
No, and literally, it's right around the corner, so we can all read it in what, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Yeah, a little less than that. I don't know, very quickly. So I think 2 weeks, a little
The
more than
pressure's on.
the pressure's on. I know, but I get to do my cover reveal because I did a Kickstarter where I had a special cover just for the Kickstarter backers. So now I get to do the cover reveal for the commercial one too. So I'm pretty excited about that. I just got those finally back. So planning some big stuff on Instagram later this week about for everything. So it should be fun.
Oh, yeah. And I wanted to be able to share it. So if you just send it my way, I'll send it out as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's talk about where that idea came from. You said on your rom-com, it started out as like a dream and she kept talking to you, but what about this book?
So this one, I sat down to do the NaNoWriMo a couple years ago and lasted like 2 days and never picked it up again. And then at the beginning of the following year, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit down and write an hour in a day and see what happens. And this characters kind of just started coming to me and words were just coming out. It started as a completely different novel. At the beginning, I didn't even know it was gonna be a novel. I was just writing to write, and then yeah, things started formulating and coming together. And then it was going to be twin sisters. And then it was like, no, this is going to be the same character within one character. So then I started doing research as much as I could about dissociative identity disorder so I could do an accurate portrayal. I mean, to the best that I can. Every diagnosis is different for every person. So no,
Sure.
there's not really like a cut and paste way to do it. But I interviewed over 100 people living with the diagnosis to really get inside, their heads the best I could. So once I started doing that, the rabbit hole kind of went on. And then it was funny too, because my main character ended up switching to another one, which I was like, perfect. Like, this makes sense since you are a multiple personality character, that you would be switching your role within the story. So it's all kind of happened organically. And yeah, like I said, it's a completely different story than what I thought I was going to be writing about. So
Okay, I have a zillion questions, so if we can just pause right here. Is it written in the different POVs from the different personalities?
yes.
Oh, that's good. Do the different personalities know? So, how many does she have? And then, do they know everything that happens when one is at the front and the rest are not?
So that is a bit tricky. In the book, there are, I think, 7 alters altogether that make themselves present at one time. Some have bigger roles than others. In reality, most systems have like hundreds or 20 different personalities like living in them, but you can't realistically write that and have it make sense. So I have, yeah, the 7 there, and then some of them have access to memories and know that they're a system, and some of them do not. So it's the journey of going through and figuring out this diagnosis that you didn't know you had, and then having these characters reveal themselves to you, and then their relationship with each other and how they're all living in one body and trying to just, survive, make it through life, and figure out if you brushed your teeth that morning or if you made dinner or how to do your job. Um, so yeah, so there is a little bit of both, that some people have no idea and are completely in the dark, and then others that have been around from the beginning and can kind of explain like why this is happening and like why you have amnesia or why you have these scars, because multiple personalities comes from trauma, like severe trauma before the age of 6. So it's you start disassociating to be out of these horrible and horrific situations. So the fact that this is happening at such a young age, a lot of people might not even show symptoms until they're in their 30s or 40s when something stresses them out, but they've had it their whole life. It's just stagnant, because the whole purpose of this diagnosis is to protect yourself. So even your brain protects you by not even telling you that you might have this diagnosis. So it's very fascinating. And there's no, like I said, every diagnosis is different. There's no one glove fits all for any of it.
Okay, and now I have a zillion more questions. I have never been exposed or really educated in that. And so you call them alters. You also said system. So is
Mm-hmm.
that words that you made up for your book, or are those that common terms when you were doing your research?
Those are common terms. Some people call them spirits or something like that, but most medical journals, it's alters, and then systems are usually a name that they've made up for for everyone that lives inside of them. So it's like they have like obviously their given name, and their alters will have names, but the system is kind of like all of them as one.
Like their version of their universe.
Exactly, exactly. And they actually, in real life, they have these headspaces that act like the real world, but it's completely happening all inside of your brain. Some of them have like hospitals and towns and boyfriends and girlfriends, and it's completely um, mind blowing how cool the brain is that it's able to do something like this and create safe spaces with just your not your imagination. That's not true because this is very real for everyone, but just like in your brain, like having sanctuaries. So yeah, it's been really interesting to learn. And the more I learn about it too, the more I'm just like, wow, like humans are awesome. This is so cool.
It's never ending. So if I understand you correctly, you're saying, and let's use your character as an example. There's 7 altars in
Mhm.
one system that's housed in one body. Did I get that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then to build on that, in the 7 systems, I always assume they're in this world, me and you, America, etc. But or whatever the town you live in. So
Mm.
you're saying some of the altars have created like other towns
Yeah, well, I mean, not
or
even
other
towns, just
settings?
could be just, yeah, different settings. So a lot of people, when they start doing the therapy and try and figure out what's going on, they usually have people do like a mind map so you can separate different places. So a lot of people will have like a house and each altar will have their own room, and there'll be like a great room where they can all meet, and they'll have a pulpit, like one spot where the person who kind of controls the body can go to and like access like the real world. But all of this is happening simultaneously as living in the real world. So in my book, The Inner World, there's like a pirate ship where they live, and there's like a great hall, and then the big mean lady, the perpetrator in the system who fights and self-harms the body because they don't want the secrets to get out. They don't want people to know that they were abused or the trauma. So they kind of
Sure.
do a lot of self-harm to hide this from everyone. So like that character, like they live in the clouds with like thunderbolts and stuff. So it has,
Oh.
because it's a thriller novel based on true things, I have to like rein in the fantasy sounding parts of it, even though it is very much part of that world.
That is wild because not only do you have your internal world that they all coexist, then it's them also like their physical world in our reality as we know it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just, it's fascinating. And by researching and meeting so many people, I've gotten to know a lot of these people, not like very, very well, but well enough that they're comfortable telling me their stories and their trauma and really opening it up. And it's just, it's absolutely just mind boggling how they can keep it all together. And that's, at the end of the day, it's a survival technique. So everyone's just trying to survive and make it through the day. And then now with Hollywood, they always make, especially this diagnosis, like, oh, they can't control themselves. They're going to go murder a whole town and not
Uh,
remember. And they can't do this. And it's like, really, they're just trying to make it through the day, through their job. Like, but then that also, one alter can be very good at, say, raising children. So when their kids are at home, that alter comes out, even though that might not be the main personality that's in charge. They can kind of tap in and out for their strengths and stuff too.
I didn't even think about that. Okay, so I want to get back to how you did this research, but you had mentioned that they all kind of come together. So in your book, is there like one, I mean, like main altar, or do they get a choice as to who switches? Because you're right, like Hollywood portrays them one way, and we know that Hollywood gets things wrong.
Hmm.
So how do they decide who is in charge? And I guess it switches on a moment, like moment by moment, it could.
It can. So
It cannot
depending,
or it can.
it can. It could switch. Like if you're really stressed out, it could cause rapid switching. So then you're just constantly having different people in the front, and then that's hard. That's when a lot of amnesia happens. Other
Oh,
times you could be in the front for, most of your life and have no idea what's going on. And then other times some just kind of, one system told me that there was one of the alters in their system had done something bad, so they froze them. So they're frozen, and that alter never came out for like 5 or 6 years because the perpetrator inside had froze them until they were deemed well enough behaved to come back out. So there is some control in some aspects. I
almost
think
like
some
a
alters control more
justice
than.
system, internal justice system also.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So it definitely depends, I think, on the stress situation, and then who is more capable of getting certain things done, and I think just who has more control inside the brain, because there's usually like a gatekeeper who kind of knows everything that's going on and kind of keeps the peace. Like that's usually in most systems they have one of those. Then they'll have like a protector who comes out when the body or someone is feeling threatened. Most of the time there's children at any age that will just come out that are just, they never grew up from any certain age. They're usually trauma holders. They're the ones holding all the memories of the bad things that happened. Then there's the perpetrator who does the body harm to protect their secrets. They're the most violent usually from my research. Like, I'm not an expert on this. This is just my own personal experiences.
Sure,
They're usually
sure.
the most violent, but not towards other people, towards themselves.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. So going back to these whole maps and these systems they're making, it's kind of like almost every altar has a role of some part. Like, it might just be to comfort someone else or do this. Like, there's no one there that's just there to be there. Everyone has a specific thing.
Do you in your book then have a mind map for your readers to understand this system, this ecosystem?
I do have a little picture in the back. I mean, it's completely made up, but I've seen enough. People have shown me enough of their systems and their drawing that it's kind of, I've taken little bits of here and there and all of that. And I have permission from everyone to do this. Like, I was very clear on that. And actually, a lot of people have submitted to an anthology I'm doing, and it's from people living with DID, and it's their poems and their stories and things they want shared that they don't really have any other place to do it. So we're doing a whole side project on just that too. So that was really cool. But yeah, so I've pieced together a whole bunch of little things. And then, like, also, I don't have this diagnosis. So this is my interpretation the best I could possibly get it. Like, of course,
outside looking in.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you research 100 people? Because I'd imagine you sit down, you have this idea. You said it started out as twin sisters, and then it morphed or developed into DID. How in the world do you reach out to 100 people? Because mental health is a very sensitive subject, rightfully so. So how did that even happen?
So I just was like, okay, where can I find people? And I had a couple friends that knew friends. So that was the introduction there. And then there's support groups for those people. So kind of by word of mouth. And then I also used Facebook and Reddit groups just to kind of get a feel for it. And then I just asked people. I was very transparent about what I was doing, what I was using the research for, if people wanted in on it. And then I just sent them the survey. I actually sent out 3 surveys. And yeah, so it was interesting. And people are like, well, what if they don't have it? What if they're just making it up? Like, how am I to know? I'm like, well, if they're taking the time to take all this stuff. And like I said, everyone's different, but there are some definite similarities between, like, in the results that I got in the surveys, you could definitely tell there is some patterns that are going on.
Well, that's what one of my next questions is going to be, because DID, in order to get the diagnosis, you have to, I would imagine there are some similarities. And then there are also, for lack of a better word, like outliers or some outline, maybe not as common. So what would be, when you were doing your research and had people reach out to you, which God bless them for being so open and willing to share their story, because it's very, very private, I'd imagine.
It is, and so many people were excited not to share like their trauma and stuff. Like, that was a little bit more guarded, but to share their story and get people to just understand a little bit more what it's like. Yeah. So it was pretty exciting, like the momentum that I got from that. And then, like, they were telling friends who then brought in other friends and then other groups. So word of mouth and doing this. And then what I thought the most fascinating about all the research was when I asked if they'd want to integrate, like, in therapy, like, that's your end goal, is to integrate all your personalities into one functioning, not necessarily personality, but one functioning being that has peace and everything like that. And most people said they would never want to integrate. They couldn't imagine living their life without their systems, because it's their friends, their families, the people that have gone through such terrible trauma and like help them survive. Yeah, I would say 92% of them said they would not want to integrate. And the ones that have had integrations are not liking it. It feels too weird. So that's what I was surprised, because that is the main form that's being pushed in therapy for healing, is this, and no one really wants that. So it kind of needs to switch up our approach on how we're going to deal with it as well, and change it instead of forcing people to be what they're not.
Well, us humans are really good about putting people in a box, and we want to like put labels on people and put them in a box, and figure it.
Mhm.
And then they're like, okay, you're done, healed, on to the next one. And I hate that. That's in so many mental health arena. I mean, that's really in a lot of things, right?
Mhm.
Interesting though about integration, because those of us again outside looking in, you would think that would be like the most, I guess, efficient.
Mhm.
And the best way for them to cope is to like, yeah, let's bring everyone back together. And yeah, I mean, you would think that innocently enough.
Yeah, well, yes, exactly. That's what we think. But it's like, who gets to choose who gets to be in charge? Like, who gets to be the alter that's going to be the one that
Yeah,
has the body? Like, why do they get to have it and no one else?
yeah.
So I think the end goal for most is just to have a peaceful situation in their head where they're getting along, where they're not fighting each other. Because sometimes, this one alter might be a 23-year-old boy who wants to go have sex and drink alcohol and do this, but the body might be a 42-year-old woman. So it's like also
Right, right,
taking the
right.
control, like you feel something so completely different than what everyone else sees. And how do you deal with that? And so if you're married, if you have a family, like, and you have another alter that wants to be promiscuous and go do this, like, how do you balance those relationships? Because depriving them isn't really going to do any good, because then it's just like a little overboard when they do get the chance.
That is fascinating because you're right. We kind of operate, every human hopefully operates off of standards, moral code, your moral compass, and your boundaries, right? And I didn't even think about, when you're talking about the altars and the systems and then the settings that they've created, never thinking like, yeah, if you're married with kids, not everybody in there is married with kids. Not all altars
Mhm.
are.
Exactly. So I found it interesting that a lot of systems will date each other. So then it'll be like one alter will be dating another alter in a different system, and then there'll be multiples in each system dating each other. So super polyamorous. But it makes sense because someone else understands what you're going through and how you're surviving life. So it's a completely different thing. But like the little kids, like in my book, for instance, like they don't feel comfortable in the human body because it's too big. Like they stumble around because the human shoes are too big. Like that's not what they're used to. They're a little kid. And the main male alter, he's the protector. He's the 23-year-old young Australian guy in a white woman's body that's 32. So trying to maneuver that kind of stuff, and just how do you represent that within being in one body but also sharing what you really feel. So actually AI has been a really cool tool for this, because a lot of systems have just been creating images of what their alters look like. So now they actually have faces to the different parts of them, and they can put them in their room, or they could show someone and be like, yeah, you see this, but this is really like what I encompass here. So
No
that's been a really cool.
way. That is super cool.
Yeah.
So when you're writing your book, uh, and do you get stuck, and then do you reach out to some of these people that you've gotten research to just to be, because I'd imagine again, when you're writing it from an outside perspective looking in, maybe you want to have follow-up questions or like, did I get this right? Or, I mean, did you have like, not consultants, but people you could reach back out to that lived with it?
Yeah, I have a couple a couple systems that I've been working with hand in hand. One is actually doing a lot of the cover, not the cover art, but the inside art for the Kickstarter that I did, the end pages. She showed me her diary pages and what they look like, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So she made some fictional diary pages based on what hers look like, but for the book. So we've been working on that. So I've been talking to her, and I've had, I think, 4 systems read the book so far to make sure that, one, it's not disrespectful, like it's not rude. I'm not trying to make them
Oh, yeah.
shade something else like that. So just like accountability on that. But what I thought was interesting was that they said that they were seeing their systems in a whole new light that they might not have before, and were able to see how their partner now looks at them because of what they read.
Oh,
So
that's neat. That's got to be super rewarding and fulfilling.
yeah, well, yeah, I think the community that I have now from this book, that was an unexpected surprise, but it's like so many people are finding healing now because they're sharing with people that they never shared before, because they had the courage to fill out that survey. And now they're comfortable telling their family for the first time, or they're putting poetry out onto Instagram. So Yeah, so that was very cool, which I wasn't expecting, but like
That's
the healing process is
amazing.
coming out. Yeah.
Would you stay in that world because you've done so much research? You have so much support. You've developed a community. I know you have this book out, and we'll get to the rom-com. But would you continue writing in that universe?
I would, well, the opportunities are really endless because I could have as many alters really as I want that could come for each book could be a different star of the show
100%.
working to solve the crime. I will do another book, for sure with this world. I'm not sure exactly when, but I have some ideas brewing and I've already written the first chapter, which is included in this one. So now I'm kind of on the hook for it. So
There you
I'm
are.
excited though, because I have a lot of content that I took out of this book because it didn't flow and it didn't fit the story right. So I'm excited to use a different alter and maybe have a little bit more softness in it and still be a thriller. But now you're going to see this other side of these characters that you're only seeing little glimpses in this one. So I'm pretty excited to flesh them out and give them their heyday as well.
Oh, I'm sure. And you have already probably some loyal readers waiting for this book to come out because, yeah, you've had some of them read as sensitivity readers too.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that was important to me too. Is like if I'm gonna do something like this that I'm really out of my element, like
Yes.
like I said, I needed to make sure that I was doing it correctly and respectfully, because I'm trying to change the narrative on the mental health situation. And especially in Hollywood, especially with this one, since they're always the bad guy, like everyone just thinks of Split immediately and how far from the truth that movie actually is. It's pretty astonishing. So, and it's still a thriller novel. So yes, there's a little bit of blood and guts and gore and all of that. But there is just a little bit of like a mental health part of it as well.
Well, I think so because you had said earlier that they don't know they have it, which is
Mhm.
fascinating because I don't know how you get so far into your life and not know.
Yeah, so I started reading about this a long time. I was always fascinated in psychology about it and stuff. And I remember I was listening to an audiobook. I can't remember the exact name of it right now, but it was a biography or a memoir, I should say. And the main guy didn't find out until he was like in his 40s or something. He was a professor at a university, like had no problems. There's actually quite a few books that I've read, and it's something super stressful happens at work, and then all of a sudden they're getting amnesia, they're losing time. Other people start to come to the front. Family members usually notice something is off first. Mood swings, depression, not knowing what's going on. And then yeah,
Wow.
so and it takes there's not every therapist is obviously specialized in this, so
Not
finding
trained,
a
correct.
therapist is super hard most of the time, especially in the States. Like trying to find healthcare advocate is not easy. Um, but yeah, so the professor, he ended up having an alter that was a younger one that would go out all the time and go rollerblading and just love rollerblading with all the young kids. And he was like older, and then like he was cheating on his wife because of, the urges like that. And then
Um,
him and his wife ended up staying together, but they were kind of able to manage it. Like once it started, they started figuring it out. So it's interesting.
that is absolutely fascinating. And I think too, it's got to be terrifying because, that's a lot of years of living with a reality that you understand, that you
Mhm.
got it. You're like, okay, it's been, 4 decades of me. And then all of a sudden that this happens, it's got to be terrifying.
Absolutely. And you don't know what's going on. You think you're crazy. Everyone else
Hmm.
thinks you're crazy. And it's also, you'd have, what is the word? Cytosymptomatic things too. Like one alter can need glasses and another one will have perfectly fine vision. I
What?
cannot think of the word. Something somatic. I'm thinking so they can, and if there's an alter that's feeling sick and comes to the front, the body will be sick, but you can kind of switch them around like that. So there is also physical differences that can happen when the alters switch as well.
Okay. And people say, that the mind body connection is powerful. Like, that makes no sense to me because I'm thinking, like, your eyes aging or your sight, whatever happened, right? That is a physical limitation. I would think, like, everybody is subject to it in the system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. And I use that to my advantage too, because obviously like in one character having all these different things, each character needs to have their very specific voice and mannerisms. So I have one that wears the glasses. So when the glasses get put away, it's someone else is coming to the front. Like if she's been wearing them and all of a sudden they're going away when she needs them, okay, someone else is at the front now. So who's that going to be? And then some have to have certain, like the one character has an Australian accent. So you kind of know when he's switching in and out in the narrative if there's not a dialogue tag. So making completely different things. So yeah, so using the physical symptoms that can change with the alters was pretty useful for me. It was very helpful, but I was so mind blown on that, like how that can be possible. And like you can literally have one person be with the flu and then the next alter come up and be completely fine. So, but the person with the flu will still be sick inside the head, but the body physically won't be sick anymore. And not sick
That's
in the head like that, feeling ill in the
yeah,
headspace.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fascinating. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, it's psychosomatic.
Psychosomatic, that's the word.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm so intrigued. So I'm going to be on your pre-order also. And tell everybody one more time what the name of the book is so they can dive into it when it comes out
It's
on the 18th.
Yes, it's Fragments of Affection.
Mhm. So you mentioned a Kickstarter. So tell us
I
about that. Oh, is it still open?
It is not. It ended last week, 2 weeks ago, I think. I don't know. It's all been a blur. I didn't really plan this all out when I decided that this was my launch date and everything. I just kind of rushed it all into one spot. So definitely I'm learning. I'm learning time management a little bit
You're like, I
better.
want to stress myself out for fun.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'm excited, so that helps. I don't think the momentum would be this strong all the way through for other books. But then because I'm excited about this one. But yeah, I did the Kickstarter, so we have a really beautiful book coming out. I did the special cover, and then I have the end pages I were designed by one of the systems I've been working with, so we're really excited to see that come out. Especially since it's something so personal to her. It's her
Yeah.
diary pages, a little bit fictionized, obviously, because we don't want her actual diary pages out for the world. So with that, we did that, and then we're also doing the DID anthology as an add-on too. So because they kind of coexist, there's a diary in the novel that is obviously pretty significant. So this is kind of just taking that and making it its own thing. So there's a lot of submissions, poetry, songs, pictures that systems have submitted, and then I throw in a few random parts that tie it back to the story. But for the most part, everything in there is from actual people that are living with it that just kind of want the world to know what it's like, how they're feeling, and stuff like that. So that's the part I'm the most excited for, I think.
Genius. It is genius. And I'm sure then in their works that they submit, they can be anonymous if they're not comfortable, or they can
Mhm.
have their name on there if they're right. It's like no rules around that.
No rules. I mean, I have permission and forms for all of that, but most people are doing it by their system name because either the people that they're close to know them by their system name, or maybe just their therapist knows them by their system name, but they know them by that. And it's not like, and they have some very interesting ones that you're not going to be able to be like, oh yeah, I know who that is. Like I would be the Starfish system, but everyone knows that would be me because my nickname is Danny Starfish. So, these ones are
Oh.
a lot less identifying.
So interesting. They can have an anonymity, but they know. That's
Mhm.
neat.
Yeah, that was fun because like I said, they didn't realize how healing it would be to do something like with my girlfriend that's doing the end pages. She's like, it's giving me something to do and focusing my thoughts and really making me think about the way that I think. And she's like, and I've had some significant mindset changes because I'm doing this and it's keeping her busy. I'm like, okay, we'll she's in school in university right now too. I'm like, make sure you're doing your schoolwork, no doodling on the side. Um, but yeah, so that's been fun just because people are finally finding a safe place to kind of get what they've always wanted to get off their chest out
Oh
there.
my gosh, Danielle, and that anthology, I mean, it can be one a year or however, I mean, that could go on in perpetuity because there's just as more people create and you're getting people, you're really starting to like a movement for them to be creators also.
Yeah, and that was not what my goal was, but it's the best part about the whole entire thing.
Beautiful
It's
byproduct. Beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
So
it's
when
beautiful.
does that anthology? Because I'd imagine it takes time to get everyone's submission. You don't want to rush people, but you have to have a deadline, et cetera.
Yeah, that will be out in March is my goal.
Okay, the six
To get,
months.
so I get this one done, and then also just make sure that one has the time. Like I don't need to rush that one to get that out right now, because I want that one to be, you know, a good product as well. Like people are
Hmm.
letting me have their heart and soul. It needs to make sure that it's perfect for them, because it's not just about me and what I'm doing. This is about them. This is their stories as well. And there is a few pieces that I'm putting in as well, but it's from the surveys I've taken and some of the answers to the questions that I'm kind of combining into like the most common universal ones. So there is a little bit of, I don't want to say fiction because it is actual stuff, but it's just kind of melded into a way that no one's going to be upset about it. But I think it's valuable information that people should know about as well.
Well, like you said, there's some commonalities, almost like theme writing, if you will.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so, how long would that anthology be roughly? Because I'd imagine that can be pretty verbose.
Right now, we have about 100 submissions. Um,
That's a lot.
yeah, and I'm gonna do probably one submission a page, or you know, if it's a few pages, that's fine. But I'm not gonna like cram them in there. So that's what we have so far. I'm giving them until the new year to kind of finally wrap up and
Mhm.
get everything submitted in and go through it all, get it edited to an extent and all of it. 'Cause it is an anthology, so it's really their writing, and it's a diary anthology, so it doesn't have to be perfect in that aspect, but I want
Yeah.
it to be perfect for what they want it to be.
Well, and I mean, that could be really fun with your artists that you have now doing the diary entry end pages. I mean, you can have a lot of fun with that just in the formatting or however you want that to look on the inside. That's fun.
Well, when I was thinking about doing it for the Kickstarter, I was like, oh, what can I do there? Like, blah, I could just do blood or something like this, or except for doing the
Yeah.
sprayed at end pages as well. And then I was like, actually, her diary pages would be really cool right here because it's an inside view of what's in the diary, what's really going on. There might be little Easter eggs in there, so if you're looking, but yeah, it was a really fun idea, and I'm really excited that that's now going to be like that Kickstarter book. I'm so excited just because I've done all of the work, all the formatting, all of the design, and then the stuff I haven't done has been systems that have been doing it. So
How did you decide to do Kickstarter? Because Kickstarter, it can be very daunting
it
and it's
can.
competitive.
It is. So I was going to be at Author Nation this next week.
Mhm.
And they did a Kickstarter cohort with Kickstarter. So they did like 3 sessions of information and kind of going over that. And then they had a group every Friday that met and kind of went over their campaigns and what they did. So they really had a good mentoring system. And then there's some Facebook groups that are also really awesome on that. So I didn't really think about it. I was just like, oh, this is what I need to do. A lot of authors are treating that more as your book launch now and then kind of soft launching softly on Amazon and stuff because you can make a lot of money doing it to cover the cost or to make the beautiful book. So there's a little bit more of a profit if you have a good campaign because Kickstarter is all or nothing. So you either have to hit your goal and
Mhm.
it's not the limit. You can get, I mean, one guy just made like $4 million on Kickstarter for 4 books. So um, if you have the right following, anything is possible, but you get a little bit more of that. So yeah, I kind of was just like, okay, this is how I'm going to do my big launch for that. And then a little bit of a softer launch will be happening afterwards. But I'm really glad I did it. It was a lot of work, a lot of research, but we were successful. So I'm excited.
Yay.
Yes, thank you.
Well, Brandon Sanderson, if you know, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's obviously huge in Kickstarter. He's just huge everywhere. Just a wonderful human being and author. And so when he his Kickstarters always like way surpass,
Yeah.
way surpass. And I love what he does. He then takes his excess, what he surpassed, and then he funds all these other Kickstarters.
Hmm. That's amazing. I did not know he did that. I mean, the
He's
Kickstarter
done that.
community is really cool because it's like creators support creators often. So it's like since I started doing it, I think I've supported 10 or 11 different Kickstarters now. And they're
Yeah.
not all books because there's a ton of cool stuff on Kickstarter. That's really awesome. But it's like a lot of people don't even know that this is an ecosystem out there, but it's really fun and it's really cool to like get the momentum and get people going and getting them excited. And if you're a fantasy or romantasy, like that's making so much money right now. Like the books that are coming out are beautiful, but you can make some good money. Thriller is not really a hot genre yet. Hopefully it'll be better, but the publishing in general I think 40% of campaigns fund, which is a huge number for a category. So I think it'll
That's a
only
high
go up from here.
percentage.
Yeah.
So let's move over to rom-coms.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I'm excited because I'm wrapping up this one now and I get to take care of this character. She's very demanding. Like I said, I was laying in bed one night and she came and whispered in my ear. And people think I'm crazy when I say this. Maybe I am. I don't know. She whispered in my ear and she's like, excuse my language. She's like, "Hi, I'm Olivia O'Dell, Odelli for short, because I have more rolls than a bakery truck and I may be fat, but I sure know how to fuck." And I was like, "Excuse me?" um, okay, let me write this down first of all. Like what? Okay, like what random thought that is at 4 a.m. And then yeah, for at there was I'm losing my thoughts. Yeah, the Author Nation did a romance anthology as well, and they offered for people to submit stories for that. So I was like, oh, okay, like I'll do a little romantic suspense short thriller story, but still romantic. And then I missed the deadline by like 2 days. I totally just
Oh,
wrote it in my calendar for the wrong month. And I emailed them. They're like, oh no, it's fine, but you just have to get it in like by tomorrow. So I wrote an 8,000 word short story in like 2 days, stayed up. Not suspenseful, not thriller at all. It was Odeli's story. So it's like her little introduction into the world. And she's very, it's kind of like Bridget Jones meets Eat, Pray, Love. It'll
mhm.
be loosely based on a lot of the travels that I did in my younger years. So I could kind of bring back some funny parts of that, but kind of relive those moments a little bit more courageously than maybe I did back then. So I'm excited.
Maybe autobiographical, maybe not.
Yeah, there's definitely some parts, but she's way more wild than I am. Way more confident, way more just everything. She's a lot, but she's fun. So I'm excited to, and I just got the audiobook back from the short part of that, and I'm really excited with the narrator that's doing it. She really brought it to life now too, and I'm like, okay, this, I'm getting motivated for this.
Okay, so I was on your website and you have her on there. You
Mm-hmm.
have her picture on there and it is so adorable. And then you have like a section for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's demanding. I told you I have to tell this story. So that's why I have to take a little break before the next one. I have to at least get the first book out. But because a lot of these like, stories are going to be based on my experiences, like I'm not pulling from my imagination. It's just going to be like plugging in different things with her and doing that. So I think it'll be much easier to write. Like I don't have to research for 3 years because it's my memories that I'm just going to be kind of tweaking around.
So I know you said short stories on your website. And so are they all going to be around the 8,000 character mark or are you going to expand? Because if she's a strong, bossy personality, I'd imagine 8,000 is not enough. She'd be like, girl, no.
No, that was definitely not enough. But it was just because I wanted to be in the anthology and just get my name out there. So I hustled her through, and she's like, "Oh
Oh,
no, this is my spot. Like this, we're telling my story." So
yeah.
it's just kind of her little introduction to the world. But yeah,
Okay.
it'll actually be full length novels, and there'll probably be like 15 of them. So
What? Okay, is she going to be in all of them? Or is it going to be
I
like her
mean,
adventure in different cities or different countries? Or,
yeah, yeah, different cities, different countries. So I did like 15 years of pretty heavy traveling all over. So the friends that I've met and the stories that I have a pretty big pool from. And I'm even some of my friends, I'm like, so what do you want your name to be in my rom-com series? So you know who you are. So I'm getting like a little list. So the names are all
you should
changed,
pick.
by the way.
Well, yeah, I
But
wanted to talk about that too because it is on your website. So
mm,
we can, okay, so the 15 books, whew, you
well, I
got to
don't know if it's
work
that much for real, but it might be. Who knows?
with her. You never know. Because I read you had like a little, like a paragraph
hmm
on your website and it was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, she's fun. She's funny. She has me laughing out loud, which is weird when you're sitting in the office by yourself and I'm sitting next to my office potatoes and I'm like, ha 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 ha, like what's going on? So like, I wish I was this funny in real life. Like, why can't these be my jokes? Like, why aren't they coming out of my mouth? But she gets all the credit.
I know when you talk to people that are not authors, they're like, "Aren't you writing her?" And you're like, "You don't even understand."
Yeah, my fingertips hit the typewriter, but I'm not in control. That's
Yeah,
not
it's
me.
her. It's her.
hmm
So when do you think you'll start on that? I know you have the anthology, so that's going to be a, a big project. Will you do the Kickstarter with the anthology too?
So yeah, I did the Kickstarter and the anthology. Those went together. So that will be they'll get a special edition for that as well, and then it will also just be in a paperback, most likely on Amazon or in Ingram Spark or wherever I'm going to be selling at that point in time.
Yeah,
So
very cool.
yeah, on the Kickstarter, I said that that would be delivered by March. I'm hoping to have that, and I'm also did a prequel to Fragments of Affection. That's just a short little novella. So I would like to have all of those done before Christmas and get those, at least the ebook versions of those ones out, and then really start focusing on Odelli.
Odeli. Um, so then, well, you would be done then, but you have all these submissions in January that you need to coordinate also. So are you able to write her and do that at the same time?
I think I will be able to compartmentalize. I tried, like I did the short story with this one, and I really had to step back between the two because they are wildly different genres. So and I
Wildly.
don't want those bleeding through at all. But with the anthology, because it's not so much my story and my writing, and I'm just kind of putting the pieces together, I think that will be a little bit easier. And I have a lot of the submissions already. It's already all organized. So it'll just be kind of filling in the pieces and then doing the edits and the proof. So that shouldn't be too difficult. I was hoping to have Odeli done by February, probably publishing by maybe my birthday in April.
But
So,
that's quick, okay, because I know what you're saying is the anthology is like logistics and
hmm
Odeli is creative.
yes, exactly.
But you said it's going to be a full-length novel. So do you still write every single day or how do you do that?
I still write every single day. So I have a lot, I've been writing a lot of her parts in my notes when I'm doing chores and other things that I should not be just thinking about that. But that's when she likes to tell me her jokes is when I'm washing dishes or she's making fun of me for something. Like maybe it's my other personality. I don't know. Um, so I have a lot of her chunks and I already have a big outline for the first book done. So it'll be just kind of more filling it in and fluffing it and then, cutting out some parts. But I think this one will flow a lot easier just because have I've had time to think about it. Like I've just been polishing Fragments for Affection for a while now. So like the creating of that story is done and now I'm just kind of editing and doing the finals on that one. So I've had time and space to think this one out. And dictation also is nice because I could do that on my walks and dictate just different, not the whole story, but at least my ideas down. And then that can
Yeah.
just go straight into something and then I can work from that and then cut things out. So it's helpful.
Are you a plotter or a pantser?
I am a pantser, and I wish I was a plotter. Because when I wrote Fragments of Affection, I just sat down and whatever came out of my fingertips was the scene or the chapter, and then trying to put those in order. Maybe because there was so many characters,
Yep.
POVs, and just trying to see how that would all work was very frustrating and time consuming. The story
Hmm.
changed a lot from what I wrote to how it had to end because of, making all these scenes fit together. So I'm definitely going to go into this one with more of an idea. Some really good advice I got was to write the blurb first to get that done before you even write the story and then let that guide you through because writing the blurb
Oh.
after the story also sucks. You're like, well, I have 400 pages and now it has to be 350 words. Like, so at least if I do it that way and kind of at least have the end in sight, then however I get there can be just discovery, but it needs to be a
Oh,
little bit of something.
I 1,000% agree with you. Like I can write a whole book, but I can't write a blurb.
Yeah, it's a challenge. So, and what parts do you include and what parts do you not include? I've had probably 600 different versions, but at least I could, switch them out every now and then and see which one works.
And that's what they always say. They're like, okay, we got to try them on and they have to be marketable. And you're like, wait, 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 wait. I'm just trying to write one that's good.
Yeah, like
And
when
it
do I
gets you.
have time to change all of these things out?
Don't ask me about keywords and marketing and which one does better. You're like, I can't even do that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother job in itself. So yeah, going forward, once November 18th hits and I have a little bit of break, I'm going to definitely set in some automations, get some automations going in my business so I'm not just doing the same thing over and over again that can be done so simply. Like this is one thing that I love technology these days is just how you could integrate systems into systems and just have things going. So once I get that done, it'll take a lot of the marketing stuff off my plate for every day, then I'll be more time for creative stuff and all the fun
Okay,
things that
well,
I actually want to be doing.
give me an example of what you're talking about. Systems for systems.
This is so yeah. So for instance, like you could take a newsletter and then so you could take your newsletter and then have it agitated and then it could be broken down into say 4 different blog posts and then that could be agitated down now when that's done it will automatically schedule to your website. So you're still doing the work, but you're just kind of doing it in a way that you're not having to manually do every single thing, like going and opening this, copying and pasting it here to here. You just kind of set up these systems, and like there's Airtable's a really good one to do it, or make.com, and you can insert your emails, like your email sequences. So like right now I'm still like sending out the welcome email every time I get one, and it should be automated by first 3 sequences. Like, so I think once I get that going, and then also just like scheduling social media. Like I don't mind being on social media. I just kind of forget about it. And the next thing you know, I'm like, even if it's just some sort of reminder that every day it's like, okay, pull this, batch this work, batch that work. So it's a little bit more time management, I think. Because right
Okay,
now I am just going.
you sound super techie.
No, I'm not techie. ChatGPT tells me a lot of how to do stuff. I'm like, give me a step by step for my web hosting, like detail, like I need it broken down. And it does it for me. And I can literally look there and be like, okay. So I am learning, but I am not techie.
It even tells you how to automate those.
Mm-hmm. And Shell Hunker, she has author automations. It's a Substack, and this is where I'm learning a lot of this stuff, but she teaches all sorts of stuff. I think it's like $7 a month, or you can do a 35. But definitely something to check out because she does one where it's like for your ARC readers and it sorts out like good reviews and bad reviews and where to push them, and then what emails this one person gets versus this one. Like, it's truly mind blowing. And I'm like, okay, I need to take just like 2 weeks, get this shit together, get this stuff together, and then it'll just get going. Because right now it's like, okay, my newsletter goes out on the 1st. I haven't started it. That means tomorrow I'm gonna rush and do my newsletter to get it out, but I could have this already all scheduled out. Like, not the information, but at least the templates are already there and stuff like that. And you can pre-fill it in with launch date or Kickstarter information.
Can we just hire her to set it all up? And you're like, I promise, set it up. I'll never touch it again.
You can actually. I think it's like $2,000 or something, but probably worth it.
Yeah. But you better never change it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, it's author automations on Substack, but there's a lot of valuable information just on her blog and stuff too about a whole bunch of interesting things. So check that one out.
Yeah, I always find people fascinated because, they'll be like super techy and they love to set it all up. And it's absolute genius because we only have so much time in the day, right? And so that is time that you're taking away from like writing or connecting with other authors or connecting with your readers. And so, yeah, nobody wants to like work on automation.
Yeah, and if you're not techie, it's confusing at first. I'm like,
It takes forever
why isn't this
and it doesn't
working?
work.
Yeah, so I have like one computer here, and then I have the chat GPT over here telling me exactly step by step. I'm like, break it down. Like, I'm dumber. I need it to, like, then I'll take a picture. I'm like, it's not anywhere. What you're telling me is not here. And it's like, oh, sorry, do this. I'm like, oh,
You're
my
like,
goodness.
break it
Or
down
I
like
just call. Yeah, call and ask people. Call a friend. I'm tired of just trying to figure it out myself. I don't have the time for that. So.
well, and it takes away from your writing time, and you have a lot going on between like the rom-com, you have this book release, you have your Kickstarter, which you have to get all that product shipped out.
Yes, and my book is sitting in customs for a month now, and I cannot get my proof out to see if it's worth it, if it's worthy. So I know I'm gonna
No.
have to fly to England, I guess, and go get another one. But I've called them, I've emailed them, I've called them, and they're just having like a system upgrade or something. So there's nothing I can do. I called them yesterday. I was like, can I just come to Lisbon and pick it up out of the customs thing? They're like, no, you just have to wait. I'm like, because I wanted it for my Kickstarter so people could actually see like the product they were getting. So
Yes.
thanks everyone who backed my Kickstarter without seeing the product and promise it will be beautiful.
You poor girl. That would be so stressful.
Well, I mean, when it comes to fulfilling the Kickstarter, like I'm gonna have to figure out a way, either fly and go pick up and bring all the books back, or maybe do a different distributor that doesn't get stuck in customs, that's already in the EU, and then how am I gonna get it to the state? I don't know. So I'm gonna wait for this freaking proof, see if it's good, and then I'll go from there.
I talked to another author, and she wanted to get into bookstores in other countries. And you know what she did? She asked her readers, "Hey, where are
Mm,
y'all at? Are any of you guys in, these countries that I want to get into?" And they helped her out. And I thought that is absolutely genius. So I don't
yeah,
know if there would be any way anybody that you know who is a reader is in Lisbon or your
mm,
Kickstarter, or if they know connections, but I don't know. You can
yeah.
always like leverage the power of the internet or your reader base.
Yeah, that is a good idea. I do need to figure out. If it was customs in Madeira, I would have that down because I know those people, but it's in Lisbon, so it's a little bit of a problem. But yeah, there is actually it's really hard to find English books here. It's becoming a little bit better. So there's a couple of specialty English stores, of English bookstores in Lisbon. So I'm gonna go be like, please take my book. People want it. It's in English.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was genius.
Mhm.
Okay, so two more questions. Tell us where people can find you online, all the different places you're online, and where your books will be if you're wider, KU.
Perfect. Okay. Well, my website is danielleblum.com. And then all my social medias are I am Danielle Blum. And Fragments of Affection will be in KU. And then everything else will be wide. So wherever you get your books.
So your ebook is in KU, and then
Yeah, it will.
paperback, or are you also doing hardback?
I'm not going to do a hardback, I don't think. It seems
Okay.
a little excessive. Everyone that wanted a hardback got my Kickstarter, I think. So I'll do a paperback for that most likely only, unless there's for some reason some high demand for it, but I don't really see that at this point in time. But then yeah, and so I'll be selling direct through my website as well, and Ingram Star. It'll be pretty much everywhere it could possibly be.
Yeah, the
It will
paperback.
be limited to KU though for at least the first 90 days, and we'll see how we go from there.
Yeah. And on your if it's on your website, are those going to be signed by you? Because I know that's really popular.
It'll probably depend on where you live because it's shipping is really expensive from my little island. Or if I'm in the States and I can sign a whole bunch and have my mom send them or something.
Oh, I thought
Um,
you were in the States. No?
oh no, I live in Portugal. So
Girl, what?
yeah. So yeah, so we'll figure it out. But I'm also doing a Goodreads giveaway November 2nd through the 12th for the ebook. So you will get it if you win, you will get it on launch day. So that is happening as well. If anyone's on Goodreads.
Well, okay, I have two more questions real quick. You have retreats coming up in Portugal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, next year I'll be running my first retreat, which I'm really excited about because I go to all these writer events and networking, and everyone's just like, I need a writer's retreat. And then they all know I'm here. So the demand for it is there. So I'm pretty excited. I have some very cool potential workshop leaders coming. And I can't say it yet because it's not finalized, but it should be really fun. We'll be doing a little bit more of a luxury one, and then also a little bit more of affordable, and then also there'll be traveling around Madeira. Obviously, it's going to be mostly writing, but also a little bit of holidaying.
Of course, because you have those, what, August, September, you have them for like 4 months.
Yeah. So yes, I have a lot, but luckily because I live here and I've already been planning these for quite some time, it'll be pretty easy. It's just time to execute. So I'm excited. And then
That
I'll
is
have more be coming on that on retreats as well, because I'm also doing a women's empowerment one that is not going to be focused on writing, but just kind of getting back to your passions and finding who you are. And we have a really great boudoir photographer and a confidence coach coming, and wellness and stuff too. So that one will be also really
I
exciting.
think that's your first one in August when I was looking at the
Mhm.
pictures.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it in the actual dates in weeks because I've been busy, but yeah, I think it's August, June, and I think September and maybe one at the beginning of the year. I don't know. I have to finalize it. So, but luckily because I'm on the ground here too, I have a lot of connections as far as accommodations and stuff like that as well.
Mhm.
So it makes it a little bit easier. Like I'm not living in America and planning a retreat in Portugal. I'm living in Portugal planning a retreat here. So it takes
Which is
off a little
super
bit of the
cool. You're
headache.
living the dream.
Yeah, I love it. I can't complain. I've been here for almost 5 years now. So
Did you
absolutely.
decide to move there on your own or were you transferred with a job?
We decided to move here on our own. We came to visit during COVID when Americans were red listed from Europe. We're like, we need out. Like the worst they could say is no and not let us in. And then they let us in. We fell in love with it. We had the island to ourselves. Of course, we fell in love with it. And then we moved here 5 months later without really talking about it. The universe was just kind of like, oh, you're thinking about moving? Like, here's your opportunity. And everything fell into place. So,
Wow, that is
yeah,
so incredibly brave. I love it.
it was fun. It's crazy that it's been so long. And we moved like 3 times in the matter of, I think, 5 months because we moved from one house to our farm and then our farm back to Reno and then Reno to here. So, I ended up with stuff here that I'm like, why did that I move across the world with this? Like, how did this end up here? Like a lamp. We have different sockets here, like different power. Like, why did I bring a lamp? It doesn't make sense.
And would you ever move back?
I don't think so. Not anytime soon.
You're like
I,
kicking and screaming.
yeah, well, I'm eligible for my citizenship next year. So when I get that, I'll be able to be a dual citizen and then I can live anywhere in Europe. So I have a lot more exploring to do, I think, before I head back to the States. But my family's there and I miss them. So it is hard being like an 8 hour time difference away. But
Well, and that
I'm
flight, that's a long flight.
yeah, I think the fastest I could get from here to San Francisco is like 18 hours. And then I have to go, my family's in Tahoe, so that's like another 4 or 1.5 if you can find a random flight there from San
Holy
Fran.
moly. But did you speak the language before you moved there?
Oh no, I still don't speak it very well. I try.
Immersion.
I try. I kind of black out when I speak. So afterwards, I'm like, I know we had a conversation and I know we were laughing and having fun, but like I don't know exactly what we were saying. The more I mumble, the better they understand me. So yeah, we're getting there.
But do you understand them?
Most of the time. I can read it pretty well and I can understand it. I've been working on my apps and stuff, but Madeira's Portuguese specifically, they always make fun of it everywhere else because it's like so cavemanish. And every little village has a different dialect. So if I speak my little village dialect across the island, I get so much crap for it because it's not that village's dialect. So they say when you can understand Madeira and like you're good for any Portuguese at all. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I understand my neighborhood people, like these ones here. Um,
Well, okay, I have to think that they would empathize with you because you're an American. They're probably like, this American trying to speak our language.
yeah, well, it's funny because sometimes I get shit for it, and it's like I should just speak English because they're not going to say anything to me about saying the wrong word if I'm just speaking English. But most of the time, like if I'm, if I get candy at the bank and they say I do a really good job, so that makes me feel good. They're like, "Oh, your Portuguese is so good!" Like here, and I'm like,
Here's a
"Yes,
lollipop,
thank you."
like
So
you're a child.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it works. I'm like, I can't wait to go. Numbers in English are not my thing. Math is not my thing. It's not my strong point. So going to the bank and dealing with numbers and math, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Numbers
I
in
definitely deserve
Portuguese.
this candy. Yeah.
I have a friend who is, she's from Paris and over here. And don't even try to speak French around her because if you don't enunciate or pronunciate and enunciate properly, they will tear you up.
Yeah, they're not
So,
so bad about that here. They
well,
really
yeah.
appreciate the effort, but a lot of people just don't even try because a lot
Well,
of people do speak English, and then that's just annoying. Like my partner speaks pretty good Portuguese actually, which is super annoying because he picks up languages so fast, and I'm like, I want it so bad, like, and you're just like blah 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 blah.
you're
So
like, zip it
yeah,
up
so I get
here.
excited when he says the wrong word, and I'm like, that's wrong. I know what it is. That is not the right one. But
Well,
yeah.
there's a lot of Spanish speakers in America, and I am trying to learn Spanish, and it's brutal. But anyway, and so,
Hmm.
you'll have like Cuban Spanish, Mexican Spanish, Spaniard Spanish, so
Hmm.
you have all these, right? But nobody really, they kind of get the gist of what you're saying. No one just like, hey, Danielle, you got that
Hmm.
wrong. But my friend who speaks French, and I took 4 years of French, I can't even, I'm horrible. Don't ask me nothing, but I'll say a few things that I remember, and she always is on it. And I'm like,
Hmm.
what is it with you Frenchmen? And she
Yeah.
says that is very common when you go to France, is it's all about you got to get it exactly right. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I'm in Houston, Texas. Everyone speaks Spanish. All
Yeah.
sorts of different,
Hmm.
regions of the world are here. We don't get hung up on that. She's like, I don't know. Y'all
Yeah.
aren't saying it right.
Well, it's interesting. My Spanish, so I've learned Spanish in Nicaragua, so mine's the Nicaraguan Spanish. And
Yeah,
then there's
but
a very
you
big,
know what I'm talking about. It's different
yeah,
per country.
it's different. Yeah. And then here there's a very large Venezuelan population too. So my Spanish, like I can understand that pretty much perfectly now, but I'm not trying, it's just now I'm just seeping in. And then a lot of our friends are German as well. So now I'm picking up different German words. So it's like,
Ooh,
okay, like I can't speak any of them fluently, but just by being around it, I'm learning so much more. And like, we'll have a dinner party and it'll be 5 or 6 different cultures and languages being spoken
love it.
and like all the food. I'm like, this is the best.
That's what life should be like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all humans first, humanity. Yep, love it.
Yeah.
Okay, my final question, because I've held you a little longer. If you could wave a wand and everything was possible, where would you be in 1 year?
Where would I be in 1 year? Oh my gosh. My mind just went like a million miles an hour on that one.
All right, good. Done
I
it.
mean, sitting
Good
on
brain done.
bestseller list for sure. Maybe Odelli will be a TV show racking up the big
Ooh,
bucks. I mean, she would deserve it. She would be fun on TV. So, yeah, maybe something along that. Still loving what I'm doing, I think is the most important thing to
mhm.
keep that passion. Because I'm like a multi-passionate creative, obviously. So it's like I don't want to get bored. I have to keep doing things or else things kind of slide off. So the busier I am, the more creative things I'm doing, then the more they seem to get done. So just still enjoying it all and not being burned out, I'd say.
Well, as I always say, from your mouth to the universe's ears, I hope all that happens.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I would love to have you back. So when that anthology comes out, let's book for next year. So that way we can like showcase all your.
Yes, I would love that. Maybe I can get a few of the people that contributed to maybe say something if they want to, or
Yes.
if they're comfortable. I know I have a couple that are coming out of their shells, so maybe that's something they'll be interested in. If not,
Well,
they can at least share something.
and
Yeah.
two, if you plant the idea now, November,
Mhm.
it gives time, then they can process and think and practice, and it gives just people time and space to decide.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm gonna plan my timing a little bit better, like I've been saying this whole time. So it'll be good.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing you again next year. And then be sure to tag me on your stuff so I can share when your release comes out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me and have a great rest of your day.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Bye everyone. Have a good
Ciao for
day.
now.